action.
Hey guys, this is Impact Hall of Famer Gail Kim, and you are watching the Countdown City WrestleCast.
What's up, heels and baby faces? Welcome to another episode of the Countdown City WrestleCast. I'm your host, JC, and I'm joined this week by Tommy.
Guilty.
And
Sorry.
we got Mike.
Mike, I love wrestling and like Cesaro at WrestleMania. Love always wins.
I think Mike will be saying that until next WrestleMania. Unless Cesaro wins a big Money in the Bank.
I'll be saying that until WWE does what WWE does and screws it all up.
Oh, yeah. That's
we'll talk about that. And the only reason I'm not in a bad mood right now is because of this word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when we start talking about what we're going to talk about later on in the show, we'll probably get back in bad mood.
I'll be in a bad mood all over again, so don't worry. We'll get there.
If you're joining us live, thank you very much. You can follow us along after the show or any other time. Our Twitter account is at the very bottom of the screen, at @CCG_WrestleCast. It's right below Tommy. He's looking right at it. There you go. Today, we are going to talk about ImpactRebellion. Pay-per-view they got coming up this Sunday. Originally scheduled for Saturday, but it's moved to Sunday. And then we're also going to be discussing what Mike has appropriately called... Go ahead, Mike.
So first of all, let me just say that I feel bad about this pun, and I don't mean it to make fun of the people that were affected by it, but after the last 2 years, I have said that WWE has turned tax day into Axe Day.
Yep.
Because for 2 years in a row, although the 2 years that the tax day is not actually on April 15th, so maybe they were just trying to fill that void.
I guess, yeah, someone's getting screwed on that day, unfortunately, for the last 2 years. But that seems to be the designated post-WrestleMania date for WWE to make some moves.
Vince is like, if I have to pay taxes, someone's going.
Yeah.
How dare I pay taxes? I'm a billionaire.
So we'll be talking about the 9 wrestlers that have been released after we talk Rebellion and what we think the future holds for them, because there's some big names. And I think it's safe to say these names, it's not the last we've seen of them. So if you're joining us live, we appreciate it. Burnsy, I already see you messing things up. No way, come on. Yeah, here we go. We are live chat along with us. Let us know your thoughts on Impact Rebellion. Make your match predictions along with us, which we're going to get into right now. Impact Rebellion this Sunday going to be taking place, still with no crowd in attendance, but still puts on a great show. Right now there are 8 matches on the card, although the first one might be changed just a little bit. Oh, Tommy's taking care of something real quick. All right.
Tommy's so disgusted by that thought, he said, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
How dare they change the match?
My door's open.
Alrighty. First match on the card is actually an 8-man tag team match. Chris Sabin, Eddie Edwards, James Storm, and Willie Mack are taking on the 4-man team of Violent by Design. But, Mike, do you want to fill us in on what's going on with Eric Young?
Well, yeah, I remember hearing this. It's already April 20th, and I thought I heard this a couple weeks ago that Eric Young was sidelined with an injury and was going to be out for a while. And I'm not going to lie, I haven't been watching Impact week to week. I know the general idea of some of the stuff that's going on. So when I was looking through this, and it was like 8-man tag, and I was like, is Eric Young still in Violent by Design? So JC said in all the stuff promoting it, he still has been. So we looked it up, and apparently when they did the tapings at the end of March, he did tear his ACL in the match with James Storm, which was the James Storm 1000 match. But according to the article, he still competed or still did tapings the following night, which may or may not have included this 8-man tag. I assume it was going to be live, but I don't know. In the article, he mentioned he did a singles match with Eddie Edwards and a 8-man hardcore tag match, which I honestly don't know if that's already been a match too recently. So maybe worth watching on Thursday to see if there's anything that comes out that he gets replaced at the last minute, or maybe even the day of the pay-per-view, if they are doing these live on Sunday, Different companies have done that before, where someone gets taken out before a show, during the beginning of the show. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see, or maybe he did work through that, and then he's going to take time off. I really don't know how it's going to play out.
Yeah, obviously we know that the Impact is taped, and for me personally, I generally don't like to read taping results. I kind of want to see how it plays out, which is probably why this news didn't even hit me. But yeah, I'm interested to see if in fact he gets hurt on this match. That's going to be airing Thursday. If they're going to go forward with, because Rebellion could be taped. I have no idea. The way they present it, they do such a good job presenting it live, even if it is taped. But I enjoy it either way. But if he's going to wrestle an 8-man match, which when you think about it, he may not have to do a whole lot of work on a torn ACL. It may not be too bad. But I'm interested to see how he pulls this off and what they do with it. So that being said, knowing what we know, Tommy, who are you picking to win this one?
Honestly, even if he's hurt, I'm going with Violent by Design. It just seems like they're building them up, and a loss doesn't hurt Chris Sabin, Eddie Edwards, James Storm, or Willie Mack. Who cares? You love those 4 guys regardless. And Violent by Design is just kicking off. They have the whole thing with Rhino being in the group all of a sudden. And this is, again, where I preach for faction. Because if somebody's hurt, there's still 3 other guys in this faction who can carry it on. So, and he can be like, I don't know, almost the MVP figure, like he was for the Hurt Business before Vince ruined that too. I mean, and he can.
We're not wrong.
Yeah.
And just keep the group going. He can just add another member. It's Impact at this point. If there's any group who I can trust after the pandemic era with their booking, it's Impact, man. If any company should not have made it last year, I'm sorry, Impact would have been at the top of my list. And as much as I love them, that would have been the company I said would not have made it, and they did. Mm-hmm. So they're going to fix this. And I just picked Battle by Design to win because they're a pretty hot group right now with, I got to admit, a pretty sick name. So...
yeah, and Tommy, I guess your boy Chris says, my homie Tommy's in the house. Hey, he's got you on the live chat.
Actually, he first said you are the house and then corrected himself.
So, good job to catch yourself.
Sorry, Chris, but just read what happened.
I'm with you, Tommy. Violent by Design, whether Eric Young is injured or not, and even if he does get hurt, I think we're still going to see him on TV. He may be out of action, but this promo work, he's going to do a lot to make sure that group comes up. Yeah. And for all we know, they may even recruit another member. So I'm definitely with you on Violent by Design on this one. Mike, are you making it unanimous? You going the other way?
No, I'm going unanimous. Same thing. Violent by Design seems like a pretty great group. And I mean, if this was kind of toward the end of a Violent by Design run, then, maybe I can see the kind of put together group of faces maybe doing something. But, kind of like Tommy said, I still think they're on the rise and being built. So.
Now, and besides, Eric Young on the mic is just gold anyway now. So,
Tommy, you mentioned the whole faction thing. Obviously, you're no stranger to New Japan, so you know how big it is there. We're seeing Impact adopt that a little bit more, and on some level, AEW as well is building up the faction thing.
Some level,
AEW
is going ludicrous speed with faction.
They're going with it. It's not on New Japan level, but it's getting there. But do you think this sets up, and this is an idea that I've had pop in my head, do you think we're going to see down the line a co-promoted AEW Impact Wrestling faction warfare style pay-per-view this year?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Like I would love to see like Violent by Design against, insert AEW faction here, like like Dark Order or something like that. Honestly, the fact that New Japan's forgiven them, I would also I would love to see like Violent by Design versus Chaos or Suzuki-gun or United Empire. I honestly, Jeff Cobb versus Joe Doring is the giant monster match that I just want. Mm-hmm. Like, honestly. So yeah, with this Forbidden Door being wide open now, I don't see why none of that can happen.
What? Okay, was it a Forbidden Door, or did people just not check the handle? Did they just assume it was locked, and then finally someone went, "Oh wait, it's open. It's not even locked." I think that may have been what happened. I don't think it was locked this whole time like people think.
I think it's safe to say that if Dixie Carter was still involved with Impact,
Well, okay.
and if this pandemic had not happened, we wouldn't be getting these opportunities. So thankfully we're getting them, and things are opening up slowly but surely.
Yeah.
As far as an idea for a faction warfare type pay-per-view, do a one-night AEW and Impact all factions tournament. Maybe you have different wrestlers each round, and it ends with like a 4-on-4 or something at the championship. I don't know. That's just an idea, So
I think they keep angling for AEW to make it like a trios belt, like New Japan has the Never 6-man tag and Ring of Honor has. And so I'm like, yes, do that. And see, my thing is, I know there are some people who hate those belts, but I love them. In fact, quick New Japan thing, Chaos still has theirs. Surprisingly, they made their fourth successful title defense.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first one that's happened in like years.
all right, next match we have on the card is the battle of two people that were on last year's WWE cut list, Matt Cardona and Brian Myers, formerly known as Zack Ryder and
Kurt Hawkins.
Kurt Hawkins. There we go. It's been forever, right?
This is the battle of the major figures podcast.
Yeah,
I think
it is actually. It is the action figure podcast battle. Mike, you got those pops behind you. So who are you picking to have more action figure knowledge here on this match? So
I mean, I know Brian Myers has kind of gone the heel route and kind of been doing more of that lately, but I got to think you're going to give it to Matt Cardona. I don't even want to, it's not even like a Sean Jannetty thing. It's just like, it's basically Zack Ryder, man. You got to give him a win on this.
yeah, okay.
That's where I'm going.
Tommy, what about you?
Same. I think honestly, even if I think you have Matt Cardona win because it's going to be it's good for him to get that win. But I don't think this will end the feud necessarily. They might have like a blow off street fight or something like that to finally end it. And honestly, let's be honest, Brian Myers had a whole gimmick where his thing was losing, and he still got over as hell. A lot of people will not hurt him at all. He's another one of those guys. There have been this series of guys in wrestling the past few years who losing doesn't hurt them. And they're almost immune to it. It's like, oh, they lost. Who cares? They're over as hell. Their shirts sell out. Who gives a damn? So I think Myers is one of those guys. Cardona's going to get the win, but I think both guys kind of are out of their shackles now. They can be themselves. So
I'm making it unanimous. Ever since Matt Cardona got to Impact, he's been pushed to hell. He's been pushed up. He's been winning.
Yeah.
I think they're really wanting to push him as potentially a next champion in Impact, whether that's X Division or World Heavyweight. Especially depending on who comes out of the main event tonight as a dual champion. That could be huge for Cardona. So, I mean, let's say maybe in the next year, who knows? But I wouldn't mind seeing it win the X Division and do Option C or something. Who knows? So.
When we get to that final pick, I want to come back to the idea because it actually gives me some interesting thoughts considering what you just said.
Okay. Cool. Last man standing. This one very potentially could steal the show. Trey Miguel against Sami Callihan. I can see it in Tommy's eyes. He's a little conflicted on this one.
I am.
So I'm going to go ahead and pick this one first. As much as they've been pushing Trey Miguel, Sami really needs a win here. He really does. And I got to go with Sami. Honestly, I feel horrible for him in a way because he pushed Tessa Blanchard so much and put together some great matches. And then for the fact that he put her over, she won the title, and then we know what happened there. And Sami hasn't gotten back to that level yet, but he needs something to jumpstart it. He's actually a really, really good talent that Impact has. And I think he desperately needs a win right now. So and then the last man standing is his alley. I got to go with Sami Callihan here. Mike, what are you picking here?
Yeah, I kind of go of two minds of this. I like your idea that he does kind of need a win, but I also feel he's got that reputation that beating him in this kind of match would kind of give you a nice push. Yeah, but I think I'm going to go with you. I think it's going to be Sammy. I think it'll be one of those things where you make Trey Miguel look good, even in loss, and you kind of keep Sammy strong in his kind of hardcore persona.
Okay. And Tommy, moment of truth. Where are you going?
Just something. You know what? Sammy. I'm gonna go Sammy.
Okay.
And I think it's gonna be like kind of a way to like give Trey Miguel kind of like a comeback story, because he was like in the main event for something like before the Rascals left, and it looked like he was in the league with them. So I'm thinking he's gonna have this like kind of like a comeback story after like Sammy kind of humbles him, and then Sammy will try to get back in the world title picture depending on who wins the main event that night. So we'll see.
Okay. We did get a couple questions here. Evan Alba is asking, who is the most underrated male wrestler in WWE, Impact, AEW? WWE for me is Cesaro. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. The way he's being used.
I don't think I can argue that point at all.
Yeah.
So yes, Cesaro.
Impact. Ooh, that's tough.
That's a good question.
Here's the thing about Impact, and Evan, you say you don't get to watch Impact, so you have no clues on the roster. The thing about Impact is they have a good amount of talent, but they actually utilize them pretty well, I will say. Whether it's them being a part of a faction, they do on some level get to showcase, win or lose, what they can do. So it's hard to say who's underrated because everyone's good. You watch a match on Impact, it's going to be great. If you're not getting to watch because you don't have the channel, I highly recommend checking them out on Thursday on Twitch, because they do their live TV show on Twitch and you can follow it along. You don't have to be a subscriber on Twitch to watch. And honestly, you're watching a good show, and I think this Thursday's gonna be interesting because they do a pretty good job of leading into their pay-per-view. So definitely give it a watch if you can. So
and also, if you're not familiar with Impact because you're kind of more WWE or AEW, they have a fair amount of former WWE talent that you may be familiar with. Like we were just talking about, Cardona and Brian Myers, like we said, or Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins.
Yeah.
They have the Good Brothers who were just in WWE for a while before they got Axe Day last year. Mm-hmm. And who else do they have that's kind of Neil Dashwood was Emma in WWE several years ago in NXT. So they have a nice mix of some good talent that's kind of been indie for a long time or in Impact. And then they do have some former Rich Swann. He spent time in NXT there a couple years ago and stuff. So they have a pretty decent.
Too. Deonna Purrazzo. She was still in NXT.
Deonna Purrazzo. She was in NXT. Eric Young. They never used him with Sanity, but he had a good run for a while, even though he was in Impact for years as TNA before. So I mean, they're solid. They just don't have the funding and the production value to be at a WWE or AEW level necessarily. But their show is still kind of small and it's to the no fans and.
But they're not trying to be on that level. They're doing their own thing, and I do like that.
Right.
Yeah,
because
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Well, it didn't work out so well.
Yeah,
but it's always solid shows. Like you can't go wrong.
All right. Yeah. Just give it a watch, and thanks for joining us. Keep on commenting, see what you think. We're gonna get into the title matches now. X Division Championship. Ace Austin defending against Josh Alexander and TJP. This is a three-way dance. I'm gonna go with Ace Austin. I think this guy actually is going to be holding this title for a while, trying to steal everybody's wife. The gimmick is hilarious to me, I know. But I know I said Cardona, I could see him potentially having the title, but I think Ace Austin's going to make a really good run with this. And if Cardona doesn't win the title from him and get option C, I think Ace Austin is going to be later on this year pushing that and getting a title shot with it. So I got to go Ace Austin here. Tommy, this one is pretty easy for you because I know how much of an Ace Austin fan that you are. So is that where you're going to?
I'm going Ace Austin. I will admit to being a bit conflicted because Josh Alexander is so good. I'm not gonna say he got the short end of the stick when Paige left, because I don't think that's quite true. They were still the longest reigning Impact Tag Champions ever, so there's no short end of the stick there. That's because that's a lot of guys who've held those belts. But he's so good, and I want to see him get singles gold. I just don't think it'll happen tonight. I think sooner or later this year he might be X Division or even world champion. I honestly can see that, but I just don't think it'll happen on that night. So Ace Austin, and of course TJP. He's just always great to watch.
Of course. Mike, you making a sweep, or you going a different way?
It's kind of funny you say that, Tommy, because I am going to pull the trigger and go Josh Alexander.
Ooh, there we go.
Like you said, the North was one of the best tag teams of the last 5 or 6 years. And Ethan Page definitely a little more of the wrestling persona and the charisma, but Josh Alexander was just a wrestling machine, and he was great in what he does, and I think it might be one of those things where he didn't necessarily get the short end by them breaking up, but now he might get a chance to really shine on his own. So it may be a little bit early, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and pull that trigger.
Okay.
I won't say it's early if you're right. I really won't. I mean, honestly, given his pedigree as far as he's been with Impact, giving him a title at any point is not too soon, because it's just to me he's like one of those guys who. He doesn't have like the quote unquote big personality that they look for in wrestling, but I say this all the time. Neither did Bret Hart, and my God, he was must watch whenever he was wrestling. He didn't have big personality in talking, but watch his matches. He could carry anybody. Like I was watching matches with Bret Hart because it's like whenever people downplay him, it's like but name a bad match he had. That doesn't have the words WCW in it, because that's not fair automatically. Because that was never his fault. The booking was terrible.
SummerSlam '97, Survivor Series.
Evan asks, "What are your thoughts on Major League Wrestling MLW?" Stay tuned, because we're gonna have a little news segment about that, because they did put out an announcement earlier today about them. So we'll have some thoughts on that. I think what news we have is very, very good for them. So stay tuned. We'll talk about them a little bit. Knockouts Tag Team Championship, Fire and Flavor going up against Jordan Grace and a partner to be determined, which I assume we'll find out this Thursday. Tommy, you love Jordan Grace, but I know you love Fire and Flavor.
I do.
This time I'm going to make you pick it first. So which way are you going on this one?
And see, here's the thing. The last 2 times I didn't pick Fire and Flavor, they won, and I'm nervous that if I pick them this time, they're going to lose. So I don't know. Let's just roll the dice on this one and see what happens. I'm going to pick Jordan Grace and to be determined. Hopefully it's Bacon. Bacon needs to regain her shot. So I'm going to pick them again. This is not a slight against Fire and Flavor. They're great. I think they're just trying to egg them on. Besides, they're like what, in their early 20s. They're gonna win them again probably this year. So it's like well, and this is another case of kind of like we said with the men. Like, well, that means we're not getting pushed enough. No, they won the tournament in the first place. So no, this won't be too soon. So we'll see. I just thought of who it could be.
Who?
Taylor Wilde.
Okay.
She might, because she posted she's returning to wrestling, and for those who don't know who Taylor Wilde is, she was one of the early TNA knockouts who was one of their bigger success stories. She retired to go back to school, I think. Pretty smart, major money in wrestling, go back to school. Nothing wrong with that plan. So if it's her, I'm definitely sticking with that choice because she was great then, and I think she'll still be great when she comes back. But that's my pick.
Okay. Mike, what about you?
I think I'm going to go the same way. I kept picking who was it, Havoc and Nevaeh. In these matches, and I figure at some point I'm going to be due, so they can't hold the titles forever. So, no. Plus, in all seriousness. Plus, in all seriousness, and Jordan Grace is great, and it'd be really interesting to see who she does pick, to see what kind of dynamic that brings. If it's, another powerhouse like her, maybe, or someone a little, smaller, kind of, to balance her out in the wrestling game. So we'll see how that works.
I'm gonna go with Fire and Flavor. I have a thought in my head, and we'll get to this when it relates to a couple of wrestlers that were released. But I think they're gonna lose the belts around Slammiversary to
Okay.
When's that?
it should be in July.
June, July, yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
after July 14th?
Maybe after July 14th, because it seemed to coincide with Slammiversary when the Good Brothers appeared last year. So I think there's a pretty good duo that could be showing up and take the titles from
Give me
them.
a second. I need to use a thesaurus real quick.
Okay.
There's a certain word I want to see that might have
Yeah.
synonyms.
While you do that, I'm going to move on.
Who you thought of. And yeah,
You might want to save the thesaurus words for when we actually get to them and some potential future tag team names for who we're talking about here. World Tag Team Championship, Finn Juice against the Good Brothers. This has Tommy freaking out all over it here, but I'm thinking Finn Juice is going to hold on to the titles. And that's really, I think it's going to be a great match, but I like what Finn Juice is doing. And I think the Good Brothers are getting a lot of like back and forth with AEW, and they want to keep that going. So I think they want to keep the titles a little bit in-house here, especially because we already have a kind of title for title thing going on. So I'm going with Finn Juice. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, same. I couldn't see them. I don't want to see them kind of hot shot these back and forth. You know, they're not Charlotte Flair and Sasha. So
All right.
no, I mean same thing though. I mean, you know, we were especially Tommy was real hyped for Finn Juice to come in and you know shock the Good Brothers, if you will, on that first one, and I think they're going to keep it going for a while.
All right. Tommy, what about you?
I'm picking Finn Juice, just because, again, kind of like when they won in the first place, just really stick it in the craw of the Good Brothers to hold on to those belts, and also, you know, I think there's something to them not having the belts that frees them up to go in between AEW and Impact more often, and also I really just think it just helps the relations between them and New Japan, which I want to see keep going. You know, there are some fantasy matches between Impact and New Japan I want to see. So, you know, and it'll be hilarious as all get out if Okada went back to Impact and won the world title. That would be so funny to me. I would never stop laughing.
Could happen.
Yeah.
All right. Knockouts Championship. Deonna Purrazzo defending against Tennille Dashwood. I love Tennille. I love her. I love how she puts the work in the ring. But I think Deonna
You
Purrazzo
love
right
the
now.
captain though.
Yeah, I just
Sorry,
think.
no one's old enough to get that joke.
Okay. I think Deonna is damn near unstoppable right now. So I gotta go with Deonna Purrazzo to retain the title here. Mike, are you going the same way, or where are you going with this?
You know, if you just keep going first, then I'm just going to have to keep saying I agree with you because
Is that
we tend to
right?
think on the same way about things.
Okay.
But no, I agree. I think you know she's going to have a lengthy run with this. And, you know, have some good defenses, and you know, again, it's just going back to using her and showing what she's capable of when you know they didn't use her well in NXT and WWE. So you know, I think they're going to keep it on her for a while to really show what she's capable of.
Tommy, your way? Same thing, or what do you got?
Well, yeah, I'm going the same way. Just because, like, I think if she ever does lose it, it might be in like some kind of grand way, like, you know, maybe to like Sue Young in some kind of hardcore casket barbed wire exploding chain on a pole match. I don't know, because
Always
Sue Young.
comes back to the dark section with you.
Anyway, Deonna Purrazzo looks like a unstoppable force in the women's division, which is fine with me. And so, you know, so I think she's going to keep it this time around.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Burnsy actually made it. We're going to talk about it later. How excited are you guys for Mario Ranallo to be calling Impact Wrestling?
I'm thrilled. I freaking love that guy on commentary,
Yes.
so I cannot wait to hear that.
Yeah, if you're not aware,
Yeah, specifically for that main event, right? That's what he's just calling that one match.
it is Is it the main event or the whole thing? It might be the main event,
It's
right?
just the main event.
Okay.
From what I read, it's just the main event.
Right,
Yeah.
I think it was just the main event, but that alone.
That alone will sell it.
It's going to be
Yeah.
great. He's going to be calling a title for title. Both the Impact Championship and the AEW World Championship are on the line. The Impact Champion Rich Swann against the AEW Champion Kenny Omega. Barring any BS double count out, double knockout finish, someone's walking away with 2 titles, and Mario Ranallo is going to be on the call for this. I think that just made this more hype for all of us that are watching at home.
It did. It really did. Yeah.
Now, since Mike said I keep picking first, Mike's going to pick first this time. So, Mike,
Yeah.
Mike, where are you going with this one? Who's walking away with 2 titles?
I just there's no way, and maybe it seems so obvious that that's the swerve, but I can't see any way that Kenny's not walking out with both belts into AEW. I respect the heck out of this Rich Swann, but I just the only way it could happen is if someone, for me, from AEW who wants to feud with Kenny or get that going or continue it, shows up and costs him the match. But I can't see with the way the story's gone that it wouldn't be Kenny. I could be completely wrong, and maybe that's the swerve, but yeah, I'm gonna go Kenny.
Okay, Tommy, what about you?
I'm actually going the exact opposite.
I'm the tiebreaker now.
I am ride or die with Rich Swann. I've been thinking about this since they announced it, and I've been knowing we were doing this episode since they announced it. I've been going back from my head. And ride or die, live by this story. This is the hill I'm putting down, Rich Swann, and I'm hoping that there is interference and it goes wrong for Kenny, and he gets screwed over by like Don Callis hitting him by accident or something like that. But I think there might be some shenanigans because it's wrestling, and that's literally what we do. But I want Rich Swann to do it only because it's like I just want people to officially kind of shut up and and kind of recognize it, because to me, one reason people don't really follow Impact is because they think it doesn't have true star power, which is bull.
Definitely,
it's absolute bull. And to me, Rich Swann, he had to work for the past few years to get that stuck in the cruiserweight division problem off of them, because and I'm talking pre NXT cruiserweight division. I mean, I'm talking about WWE cruiserweight division, which when booked right was really good. I can't stress enough, when booked right, because we got some fantastic matches out of that division, but that wasn't always the case of them booking it right. And Rich Swann, unfortunately, Rich Swann, like Pac, was one of the casualties of that. Mm-hmm. But both of them are world-class athletes. Pac has gotten to prove that all over again, and Rich Swann has proven that, but not everyone sees it. And I'm hoping that this will be the fight that shuts up all the naysayers about him as a talent and gives him 2 world titles. I mean, his win over Moose surprised me. I honestly didn't see that one coming. I can't remember who I picked in that match, and I still didn't think I could have picked Rich Swann to win. I still didn't think he would do it. But this time, you know what? Ride or die. Let's do this. I'm Rich Swann all the way with this one.
Evan's agreeing with you. He says Rich Swann for the win. He does say it was a stigma, Tommy, by the way. So about Rich Swann.
Yeah.
So
it was a stigma.
I've been so split on this because you can make a case for either one.
You can.
You can make such a big case. You can make a case for the fact that Rich Swann is defending his home territory. This is an Impact pay-per-view. Tony Khan is a fan of wrestling, and I think he would have no problem with this title being defended on 2 shows and coming back and forth. It brings all the talent there. But this is just the beginning of something that I think is going to go on for a long time. And Kenny Omega right now is such a big star. And I think the way you potentially book it... Okay, you guys mentioned the interference. If somebody could potentially help Swann win, there's one name that could show up that would be a link to make sure Kenny Omega doesn't get both titles. And there's one person that has ties to both companies. Well, 2. The first is Sting. The second is Christian Cage. So if either one of those guys happens to show up, maybe that swings things into Rich Swann's favor because they might attack Omega. But I don't anticipate either one of those names showing up. So I think Kenny Omega is walking away with both titles. And the big thing, way for Swann to get it back, show up at Double or Nothing and challenge to win his Impact title back. So we've seen so far a lot of like AEW showing up on Impact, but let's see some Impact wrestlers showing up on an AEW pay-per-view. And with Double or Nothing coming up next month, it's a good segue to set that up. So, but I got to go Omega right now. I think that's huge.
You know, it was two interesting names you mentioned that could bridge AEW and Impact.
Mm-hmm.
Sting's too busy just taking care of Darby. That's kind of all he's doing. So
Yeah.
Christian Cage would actually be an interesting one because they already had him and Omega with the confrontation. So that would kind of be an interesting one. But yeah, I mean, I chose Kenny because that's the way I see it. But those would be some interesting people to interfere.
Evan mentions Dusty Rhodes was Black Rain. Yes, but I don't know if Black Rain is such a big enough name or Dustin to show up and have an impact on this right now. I mean, I like the idea though, but yeah, I mean, so
yeah. Plus, I think he wants to ignore that as much as possible. I mean, seriously,
Honestly, my thought was like guys like John Moxley and Eddie Kingston would show up. Not so much because they like Rich Swann, but because they'd screw over Kenny, and that'd be funny, and they would find that funny as hell. Mm-hmm. So because also they could do that, and I would love that fireside promo of them drinking and laughing about, hey, remember that time we screwed over Kenny Omega at Impact Rebellion? Yeah, that was great.
Well, that is our preview of Impact Rebellion. Stay tuned later on in the show. We will have all the details on how you can watch it, how much it could cost you. And it's relatively cheap when you compare it to some other like UFC-style pay-per-views and things like that. This is not an Impact Plus show. It is a traditional pay-per-view, at least with Fight TV. And I'm pretty sure some pay-per-view carriers are going to carry it as well. So stay tuned for that. We'll discuss. Now, before we get into the roster moves WWE made last week, Evan asked earlier about MLW, and I figured it's a good time to mention this. MLW did announce earlier today they have a TV show coming out on Vice TV this spring. Didn't give a date, but they did put a trailer out. And MLW, I think the best way to say it is that they are an independent promotion, a lot of big talent, and they're starting to slowly make waves up. If I had to compare them to anything as far as ground up getting a TV deal, it would be ECW. That's like the closest thing I can think of as far as how they're being built up. Not so much the hardcore element to it, but I think there's a lot of talent that makes appearances on MLW that I feel like they're like almost the next step up to getting signed somewhere, whether it's Ring of Honor, Impact, AEW. MLW is like that last stop. You know, in a way it's Evolve as well, but Evolve works a lot with WWE, so it's kind of hard. They're kind of like in a gray area, but I think MLW is that. So I like that Vice is picking it up. Vice, of course, has Dark Side of the Ring.
That's probably why they got it.
And I'm very interested to see the premiere of Dark Side of the Ring because they're going to be talking to Moxley about the death matches he had with Nick Gage earlier in his career. And
that apparently Moxley feels the need to continue since he jumped him at DCW over WrestleMania weekend, which I was like, you make millions of dollars now. Why are you picking a fight with this insane man? By the way, just to clarify, Nick Gage is actually seriously nice in real life. I've seen him in passing and seen him with fans. He's actually a super nice guy. So
most of these deathmatch guys are. Would you believe that? Most of the deathmatch guys really are.
Like Necro Butcher.
Yeah.
Necro Butcher is one of the nicest guys I had ever met. I was not expecting that when I first met him.
Yeah. So Vice is getting more of the wrestling game. Evan, MLW shares talent all over it. Yes, they do, and I think that's good for them. I think they're kind of the forefront of a lot of these wrestlers sharing talent, and it gets their name out there. I enjoy it. It's another wrestling show on TV, more exposure for the workers. You know, it's great.
To me, they're really like early TNA, early Ring of Honor with how they kind of started on the ground and kind of came out. Well, Major League Wrestling was around for a while. Then they then they actually went down, and then they came back with this new restructuring. And honestly, I like them because of if one name stands to me above the other is Jacob Fatu. I saw him live once, and that dude is an absolute beast. And like he like all that intensity, man. It's nothing live. Like it's nothing compared to what you see him live. Is what I mean. Is like that guy is when he comes out from behind that curtain, that you can almost feel that energy. So he's the right guy to have as your world champion. And I'll pull up the list. Alexander Hammerstone, I remember seeing him in Lions Pride just before he went there. And of course, they got Leo Rush there, and Leo Rush, who another guy who got done dirty. And
they still have Low Key too.
Yeah, he's
Loki's there. Leo Rush was good to see him after his appearance on the Challenge. Went to MLW and won a title his first night back. So, that was pretty cool for him too. Evan says Masada, dude. I would love to see Masada on TV.
Masada's another guy who I don't know why he's not on TV more often. There's a list of people who I don't know why are not.
Yeah. Whether Masada's working a hardcore match or just a straight up match, he can do it all. And I think he's very underrated. And it's just not to say he has enough notoriety, but he's very underrated as far as how good of a technical wrestler that he is.
Yeah. I think everyone just associates him with hardcore. They think he can't actually wrestle when he can.
Yeah. Burnsy, I think Tony Schiavone called MLW in the beginning. Wouldn't doubt it. Schiavone sticks to some good companies. So
Tony Schiavone has always been stuck with some really crappy jobs, but he's really good.
Yeah.
All right. Now it's a part of the show that some of us might get a little bit pissed off discussing this, but I think there's some reason for optimism from what's going on here. So
yeah, I know. I'm just still mad about the initial news.
As Mike mentioned earlier, April 15th, at least in the WWE for the last 2 years, has turned from Tax Day to Axe Day, as Mike appropriately likes to call it. Pink Slip Day, Black whatever day of the week it is. Basically a year to the day where WWE made all these COVID cuts, even though they kept around Oldberg. They let 9 wrestlers go, some of whom had just appeared on WrestleMania, which was a surprise. I'll quickly just name the wrestlers here. We're going to discuss who we'd like to and who we think is going to go further. The biggest name I think that was let go, Samoa Joe. That's the obvious one. Dude was in a freaking raincoat at WrestleMania. Come on, man. I mean, this was interesting because people were speculating when he was off the announced team, he could be coming back to wrestling. But unfortunately, he was let go. Peyton Royce and Billy Kay were also released from their contracts, as were Mickey James, Chelsea Green, Tucker Knight, Kalisto, Bo Dallas, and Wesley Blake.
Oh, wait, there's one more name.
What's that?
Mojo Rawley.
Mojo Rawley as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I didn't have that one.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
I think you know what it was? Because he got released the next day.
Okay.
Yeah, his was a little bit later, right?
Mojo, and I hate to say this about Mojo because I think he's a very underrated talent, but just he's got hold of that whole hype gimmick. I think he was such a big asset for them when they were going to Saudi Arabia because he speaks the language. Like he has a lot of family. He grew up in that. So I think that was really cool for him to be as an ambassador. So I wouldn't doubt if they ever start going back to that part of the world once this is all over, if he's somehow re-signed because he was such a big ambassador for that area. He did a lot of the like the Make-A-Wish and hospitals and the charity work there while they were there. But obviously the biggest one for us, for Mike, for a hashtag we started, is Peyton Royce and Billy Kay. Hashtag reunite the IIconics. Mike, you're the biggest IIconics fan we have here. What do you think the future holds for the two of them?
I mean, you kind of hinted at it earlier, and I've been thinking the same thing. I think their best move would be to go to Impact. They're going by their real names now, which is Jessica McKay for Billy, and what's Peyton Royce?
Cassie.
Oh,
Cassie. There you go. Yeah, Cassie. So I was looking this up, and they could show up as, if they want to be similar to the IIconics, they could show up as the archetypal, the exemplary, the quintessentials, the classicals, the importance. These are just some thesaurus words I looked up for IIconics.
Here's the interesting part. They could still be the IIconics, but with one eye, because I think only the 2 eyes is trademarked.
Yeah, but I feel like that would be, so it's the same word, not spelled the same. I feel like WWE might, have some issue with that. What's wrong, Mr. English writer person? Is that...
The importance.
Look, I'm just. These are the words that showed up when I went to thesaurus.com.
It's an interesting.
What are the importance doing in the impact zone?
Yeah, that's true.
I want off this show. No, I'm kidding.
This is the interesting one. Because since they were split up on WWE TV, we've had such an issue with it. And I think our words are best. We've been talking about this. But there's one person who is big in the wrestling business. I'm talking about Bully Ray, a.k.a. Billy Ray. And
Bully Ray. Did you say Billy Ray?
I said Bully Ray. Bubba Ray.
Okay,
Bubba Ray. Excuse me.
Bully Ray.
So many names this guy's had. Bubba Ray, Brother Ray, Bully Ray. He's had him, everywhere he's gone. Sorry. Yeah. On, fuck, now I can't remember the name of his show.
Isn't he
Busted Open Radio? Thank you. Busted Open Radio on Sirius XM. He's very opinionated, and he had a lot to say, or at least a good snippet of that basically says what we've all been thinking about them being released, and I'm going to play that for you right now.
You break up the IIconics, and then you can't find something for either one of them? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you as a creative team? How? It is virtually impossible. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done too. I'm done with WB Creative at this point. Like, how do you screw that up? How do you mess up like the one true major tag team you had in the women's division when you're trying to build up a women's tag team division, and you split them up because you figure you're going to give Peyton Royce a big push, and it went nowhere. Like nowhere, it's annoying. Go ahead,
and don't forget they broke them up because the rumor, like you said, was that Vince thought that Peyton was going to be the big star of the two. Goes to Raw and just winds up in a tag team with Lacey Evans. Meanwhile, Billie Kay, y'all were just like, here, give her 10 seconds in this little spot, and she did the one thing that I am convinced WWE hates more than anything. She got over on her own. She did get over the way they wanted her written. She got over like Zack Ryder did before, like Daniel Bryan did before, because they're just so talented and charismatic that they find a way. And she was hilarious. They gave her some stupid resume gimmick, and she went with it and made it hilarious. Was walking up to people at the. Do you remember the Rumble when she waited outside and was like whatever she did, she killed it. Last minute WrestleMania, they put her in a tag team with Carmella. Hilarious. She was basically. I mean, you were Jason. We were watching that first night together, and you commented she was trying to copy her all the way down. Carmella normally has that silhouette. Entrance where there's the curtain and you see her behind it. I don't know how many people noticed this, but Billie Kay was trying to hold a sheet up for her so she could do her entrance at WrestleMania. The announcers no-sold it, but I was like, look, she's trying to give her entrance.
It's the little things.
Yes, exactly. Oh, she's so hilarious. Like, I don't get it. I just go back and watch Hey Kayla's clips for like hours at a time.
I'm convinced Kayla goes back and watches Hey Kayla clips hours at a time.
It's on her phone. She just misses it.
Whenever she gets a phone call from them, that's the ringtone that plays.
Someone made a joke. I did read one thing. Someone said that I thought was hilarious. They said that the IIconics could go to New Japan and bug Kenta again. So Kenta was
oh my god!
Who saw that news and said no? Oh no! No, they're going to come here. No, I can't have it.
Oh my god, Tommy! You know what would be the best thing?
What?
They go to Bud Kenta. They run into Suzuki, but he can't be mean to them, right? Like he is who he is, and he goes around destroying other people. But those are like the two that he can't be mean to, and he just like protects them full time. That would be that's the best story ever.
I would love to see Suzuki like treat them like his surrogate daughters. Like, no, I like these two. You leave them alone.
Yeah. Burnsy, Samoa Joe's. Burns says Samoa Joe's the one that surprised him the most. That was very surprising, but I think Joe's going to be fine. He's got a lot of places he can go and get work and do something. Ring of Honor is the one that tops the list for me.
Gary Silkin has been campaigning on Twitter to get him over there. Here's what I can say. Okay, let me preface it with this. Let me show you how big a fan of Samoa Joe I am. I told my wife and my parents Samoa Joe got let go, and my mom said, "Oh my God!" She said, like, "Oh my God, they fired Samoa Joe." She's like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
I was like, "I don't know, Mom." I'm such a Samoa Joe fan. My family was like, "That's ridiculous. I can't imagine why they would fire that man." And then my family was also concerned for my mental health after hearing that news, which to be fair wasn't in a good place after hearing that. But it's like I said, it's like everyone has said. It's Samoa Joe. If he can't wrestle, fine. You can't find him as a trainer, an ambassador, back to commentary. He can't be an agent backstage. He can't be creative. He can't be a booker. You can tell me Samoa Joe can't book a good program, some good matches.
See,
you're telling me Samoa Joe can't do that? Whatever, bro. Whatever, dude.
in all fairness, though, but I think he might have been okay with it or asked for it because they wouldn't let him wrestle. That's really what I think. I think he wants to get back in the ring, and WWE has shown over the last several years with several of these guys that they're going to err so much on the side of caution because they're so afraid of. I mean, they're concerned for the wrestlers a bit, but also worried about the lawsuit and the PR hit that could take.
Yeah.
So I think Joe wants to wrestle. I think they wouldn't clear him, and so I think it might have been mutual in a sense because he wants to get back in the ring. And for me, I mean, I know ROH, but I need to see a New Japan run. I need to see Joe.
Well, there's
go to New Japan for like 6 months at least.
There's some people on social media asking for a CM Punk and Joe feud renewal, and Ring of Honor might be the place for that. Who knows? I mean, we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. Vince hates tag team wrestling, period.
Yeah.
Burnsy agrees with that. Yeah, he does. But explain to me, if he really does, why the hell do you have 4 tag team championship belts? Think about that. What's the point?
There was supposed to be one women's that went to all the shows, and they couldn't pull that off. So NXT said, look, can we just have our own so we can do our thing?
Well,
I'm still not sure Vince knows NXT exists. I think he folded it a couple years ago. Triple H like, yeah, no, it's cool. I'm just training these kids down here. These are just practice videos. Yeah.
Forget NXT. I don't think he knows half his roster is even there. Like, unless not like Roman Reigns, Charlotte. That's it.
Yes.
If it's not Roman Reigns, Charlotte,
or Brock Lesnar whenever he shows up.
Lesnar,
his one night a year.
I'm out of names to mention.
Another name that's I think her being released is actually a good thing for her is Chelsea Green. I think she's very underutilized under the WWE umbrella. Yeah. And I think it's a really good thing, especially with her, I don't know if they're married yet, but her fiance or her husband, Matt Cardona, is an Impact.
They're engaged, right? I don't think they're officially married.
Yeah. I'm ready to see the hot mess return. And
me too.
That's a talent that I think could give Deonna Purrazzo a run for her money in Impact.
There is one name on there that I was like, well, I mean, she's been on this before, Mickie James. Like, I'm just like, again, really? It's like, really, you really still can't find nothing to do with her? But at the same time, it's Mickie James. I'm never concerned about her career.
I think she'll be at AEW. I think she'll be at AEW. That's
AEW,
a good spot for her.
AEW or AWA with wow, I just blinked on her husband's name.
Under Rosa and Melina
and Nick Aldis and everything.
Yeah.
Sorry, I blanked for a second what that man's name was.
I do it all the time.
And then, Ring of Honor's having their women's championship tournament coming up.
That's right.
She could pop in there.
Right.
And actually, that would be full circle because that's where she started.
Mm-hmm.
She was Alexis Lurie. She was Alexis Lurie in ROH. That's when she first got started. Then she got noticed in TNA. And then she got signed to WWE. So it would be cool to see her come full circle. I would love it if they for the tournament, the finals were Mickie James and Sumi Sakai Also, want to throw in Slippy Luscious' name in there because she was an original Ring of Honor person and she's a friend. But I would love it at the bottom where Sumi Sakai and Mickey James to like bring this whole story arc full circle. 19 years of Ring of Honor and the first and to the first two women that were ever there in the finals for that belt. You know, I would love that.
Evan says she'll make Legends appearances. I'm pretty sure she'll make once you know, if they have like a spot in the Women's Rumble for her to show up. But if she is in the Ring of Honor Women's Tournament, she makes it to the final. I'm picking her. I don't give a damn. I think that'd be really good for her to have. Kalisto, I think, is long overdue. Nothing against the guy, but he wasn't being utilized. You're better off.
And he'll be fine. I mean, he could easily go to Ring of Honor and meet up with. Well, Bandito and Flamita aren't friends anymore, so maybe he could form a new luchador stable with them, or he just go to AEW and maybe help out Death Triangle or something. I don't know.
So, I mean, I don't want to. Does he have to hang out with other luchadors? Like, can he make friends with other people?
I mean, he can.
Like, maybe.
I don't know.
I think there's
maybe him and Ace Austin will become. No,
I'm just saying it. Well, not if Ace is hitting on his wife, but I feel like with these luchadors, every company's got like a lucha faction. They're all just going to gravitate towards each other somehow. So, maybe he'll gravitate to where Andrade goes. Who knows? But Bo Dallas and Wesley Blake were also released. They haven't been on TV in a while.
Okay. Real quick, Bo Dallas. He may not ever return to wrestling. Have you heard what the internet has said?
No.
That he lived on a farm with Liv Morgan.
Okay.
Look, man, look this up. This is what I've heard. Bo Dallas and Liv Morgan, and they live on a farm together now. So I'm just saying, if that's true, then he wins life, and I don't think he ever needs to wrestle again.
I literally I tapped Bo Dallas Live, and the next thing it said was the first suggestion was Morgan Farm. Like the first.
Me too. Wow.
The first thing that comes up is Lana visits Liv Morgan and Bo Dallas' farm. Yeah, you know what? He's like smarter than me. You know what? I'm with him. Screw that company.
Because he's got that. There were also rumors that he was actually under the Fiend mask at WrestleMania. Because people thought that looked a lot different than Bray, but obviously it wasn't.
No, it was Bray. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know, but there were just some crazies on the internet. Yeah, like, I mean, if he wants to wrestle, he could, but you kind of want him.
Reportedly, they're running a farm together and have been involved in the family real estate business. Lana recently visited the farm and shared a picture of herself with Liv Morgan on social media.
You know what?
Cool.
You know what? If he feels like he's done with wrestling, good for him. Just good for him.
All I'm going to say is IRS, Mike Rotunda, you raised some alpha male kids that no matter what you might think they look like, they pulled
they're
some really attractive women. Maybe under some suspicious circumstances and maybe not the best of things, but
wow.
You know.
Well, keep in mind, Jimmy Uso hasn't been seen on TV in a while either, but he's married to Naomi, so he's fine too. I'm sure he doesn't miss it at all.
No.
Oh no, man! I gotta stay out for another couple months, man. It's not quite.
Oh man, I broke my pinky toe. Damn!
I'm just gonna wait for Naomi to come home.
I'm still waiting for Naomi to come home. Trying to talk about my pinky toe being broken. Oh damn! The law.
Evan says Kalisto.
Jay's like, I'm a main event player. No, it's okay, Jay. Go for it.
Evan Kalisto mentors Fuego del Sol. Okay. Thoughts?
I would be down for that.
What was his name before WWE? Wasn't it
Samurai del Sol? It was Samurai del Sol.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There
There you go.
Yeah.
The Del Sols.
The del Sol.
The other one that's got released was Tucker Knight. Obviously, his was a product of your tag team partner getting more popular than you are, unfortunately. And, it sucks because I think he's really good, but I think he's going to land on his feet somewhere really good. I think AEW is a good fit for him, even as a singles wrestler.
He could join Bear Country, and they can officially be a faction, and now they can have the trio.
There you go. So
let's just call a spade. Let's be honest. When are we getting the AEW 6-man tag team championships? When is this happening?
I hope they take their time. I hope they take,
okay.
And here's why: because I said when WWE brought in the women's tag team belts, I said it was too early. I said you don't have enough established tag teams. I think you're gonna you're not gonna use it right. It's gonna fall apart pretty quickly. Lo and behold, it did. Because after the IIconics lost it, has there ever been a really true tag team that's won the damn belts?
What do you mean? The dominant force of Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. They are the best women's tag team of all time.
And Kyrie Sane should have been that force. I refuse to call them by that other name that they were given because that name was just had no thought put into it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, Evan or Bernsey, Tucker went nuts on Twitter. Did you see that? I think I saw snippets of it. I don't know if he's just going through a bit of a crisis with it, but I'm just like, oh boy. I'm not going to air it out now. So,
Yeah. And then the last one, the one we're not talking much about, Wesley Blake. I forget which one's which now in AEW, but was it Cash Wheeler and Dash or what?
Yeah, the
FTR. Anyway,
FTR, yeah.
You know, they were talking up Wesley Blake, and originally it was when Alexa Bliss was with him. It was Blake and Murphy in NXT. They were an amazing tag team.
Yes.
I think he needs to go to a wrestling centric ROH or maybe even NWA or something where he can really just wrestle for a while and show what he's capable of.
You know, honestly, a lot of these names could just as easily end up in MLW because I think that'd also be a good place. I think Wesley Blake should go to all these places should probably go to MLW. I think that's where he would probably be able to build his star power up more.
Here's an interesting question on that. By the way, all of these wrestlers released do have a 90-day clause on them. July 14th is the magic date. That's when everyone's going to be counting down to see where these people show up. Would MLW actually not fall in that category? Because technically they're independent. I know they're getting a little bit of TV time on Vice, but they're not really true competition to WWE. They don't have pay-per-views or like major pay-per-views.
I would say that.
But I would feel the minute they do show up on TV, depending on what that date is, then WWE might go after that. Like you said, it'd be one thing if they were just independent like they've been up until now. Mm-hmm. And even like I know it's Vice TV and they're not going to be any real threat to WWE, but it's WWE and they're kind of petty. So
kind of.
Yeah, I'm underselling it.
Why waste the resources? Like it's just MLW. Like I don't think they're.
Why waste resources? It's WWE.
I know.
They just fired 9 people when they've made more money in this past 2 pandemic years than ever before.
I know. I don't get it either. But
wait, that's with my corner against it. I don't know.
Yeah. So. Where do you guys think this will end up? If you're out there, I think the obvious one for me is that the IIconics, duo, the importance, the archetypes, will be showing up. I think Impact is the best fit, only because there is a true women's tag team division there. They have tag team belts, and
this is true.
And I said it before. Fire and Flavor, I think, are going to be holding them until Slammiversary, when this iconic duo of the artists formerly known as Peyton Royce and Billy Kay show up and win the titles from them.
What about the recognizables or the quintessentials?
Yes, I like it.
Thesaurus.
Yeah. It's called a no-compete clause. Okay, Evan, here's the interesting thing. They can wrestle other places within these 90 days. They just can't wrestle for certain companies WWE deems competitors. So they can make independent appearances. They can do meet and greets. And WWE is going to be paying them for the next 90 days. They just can't do any sort of like company that has a pay-per-view. Like they can't go to Ring of Honor. They can't go to Impact. They can't go to AEW. New Japan is wishy-washy. I guess it just depends. I think they might consider
New Japan falls in a very weird place because of the New Japan USA and the New Japan Network. So
right.
That's more or less off limits, kind of. So
yeah, I was gonna say for what it's worth, I don't think anyone's ever done it. So
Yeah.
Like talk to them within the 90 days.
I think NWA might even be okay, because if they do have a show, it's really just on the YouTube anyway, as it is.
Unless they have another pay-per-view coming up, which case that's pushing it.
Yeah. MLW, I don't think would be considered competition, even with the show on Vice coming up. I don't think that's direct competition to WWE. So that's where the no compete clause comes into play. They can still make local appearances. I think Mike is already pushing Brandon Oliver and RCW to bring the IIconics in.
Yeah,
so,
bring them to what's the wrestling store at Crossroads they always do them at.
Oh yeah. So.
I will put in a sick day if it's on a school day, man.
And I think that line would be out the door. They're a very underrated tag team. I feel the worst for Rhea Ripley and Toni Storm. There's that great picture of the four of them, Peyton Rose, Billie Kay, Rhea Ripley, and Toni Storm at the Rumble, I believe it was, taking a picture together.
Yeah.
All from the same part of the world. And now half of them are gone, which sucks. So it's...
Well, sorry, go ahead, Mike. Good. I was going to
say real quick.
Sorry.
Mike, go.
Go ahead, Tom, go.
JC's the host. Mike, you go.
All I was going to say is there were several WWE wrestlers, female wrestlers and such, commenting on how much of a loss it will be for the locker room for both the IIconics. So Billie Kay, just seems to have that personality that everyone just gravitates toward, and it's we just keep saying it, like it's baffling, like it just doesn't make sense, like. It doesn't seem like they're making decisions and then sticking with them. They just like make it one week, and then next week it's like they forgot they made it, and they're like, "What are we doing? I don't know." It's crazy.
All right. Well, with that, we'll move into our segment of the show called the 1 Minute Warning. Mike, do you have something this week? I know there's a lot we've already talked about, but is there something?
I've always got something.
I figured.
We didn't spend a lot of time talking about my second or 1A, we talked about 1A, the IIconics. We didn't talk about 1B very much.
Yep.
And there's some stuff to talk about with 1B.
Do you want to spend your time talking about 1B right now, or on your 1 minute warning? All right. Well, whenever you're ready, set and go.
Okay, so in all seriousness, when all these cuts came down, we were in our group chat and kind of made the joke that, like, man, I'm just going to boycott WWE for a while. And I honestly wasn't planning on watching SmackDown. I turned it on because it's almost like a reflex. And what's the very first thing that happens? Reigns is in the ring, cutting a promo, and I was about to turn it off. And whose music hits but Cesaro? And I don't trust WWE. So he comes down. I don't know if y'all saw this. And he asks for a mic, and then Reigns and Heyman kind of leave the ring like, he's not important enough. And eventually they get Cesaro versus main event Jey Uso. I want this so bad for Cesaro to have his moment, but I just do not trust WWE in any way possible. So Seth interfered. It looks like they're going to have another match with him and Seth. So, maybe hold off for a while before you get to Reigns. But also, I don't know if y'all saw this, and I know I'm probably over my minute. They played the UFO clip like 6 times on SmackDown. And I was like, why are you trying to kill him before you've even fully pushed him? Like, it was an impressive move. And it was super cool. But they legit, like, a match would finish, and they would show the clip again. And I'm like, overkill is not pushing. It's an amazing move. Show it. Let him do it again later in the match. Like, there are already fans on Twitter, like, why am I seeing this for the 5th time already? Like, you're going to kill him before you push him. That's why I don't trust him. Thank you for your 3-minute warning.
All right. Tommy, do you got something this week?
Yeah, I got something.
All right. Whenever you're ready, set and go.
Vince McMahon, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? You're the same guy who gave us WrestleMania and Hulkamania and the Macho Man Randy Savage, Macho King Ultimate Warrior. Where is that Vince? Where is that Vince? Because this Vince has lost his freaking mind. The Vince of the past, whether he liked an act or not, saw the money they made. The IIconics were money, and you got rid of them. Samoa Joe, no matter what he's doing, was money, and you got this is the equivalent if you had broken up the New Day at the height of their popularity. Which, by the way, I don't know when that stopped. It's just what world do we live in? You're making all this money from no house shows, Peacock, it insert money thing that he made here, and you didn't like the other money you were getting? I don't get it. I just don't understand, and I can't. This is the same guy who gave us all these great WrestleMania 17. Somebody booked that, and apparently they're not there anymore. Because those same people who booked 17 are just not in the company anymore. They can't be. It was more than 20 years ago, and there's just no evidence of that great pay-per-view there anymore. And to me, last thing, they squandered all their goodwill that they got from WrestleMania to me with this. Like, all that goodwill just right out the window. And yeah. I hope they correct course, but I'm like Mike said, I'm not that hopeful. I'm really not.
Yeah, you said it right there. All the good, everyone was looking forward to Backlash. Now, not so much. Like, what are you going to build up for it? Bernsey says, Tommy.
WrestleMania Backlash.
Jesus Christ. I refuse to say that again. Just give me one word. Keep it simple, stupid. Bernsey, Tommy, you're fired. That's what Bernsey wanted to say.
Yeah, apparently you're so mad about managing Tommy.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead. No, so for it.
I was just going to say real quick. I really think, because based off what...
Jesus, froze.
Hollywood, as much as Cena was a big star and, kind of reigns, I think WWE is banking more on the WWE being the draw itself than any true stars being made. I think that's where they're at now. Mm-hmm. So it's not as easy for the big number one to leave them in a bad spot. I think the WWE is never letting anything get too big within reason. That's just
Can I add something to that real quick? If that's the problem, that is everyone's exact same issue with like AEW right now, and I hope everyone who craps on AEW for doing the exact same thing sees it's happening right now in WWE.
Hmm.
Tommy, when has anyone ever used logic to see that there's fault in their beliefs?
I know.
All right, JC, your 17-minute warning.
Okay, well, I'm gonna try and keep this to a minute because I'm gonna try and put a positive spin on this. All right.
Okay.
Mike, you started the hashtag reunite the IIconics. The WWE finally did it. In a weird way, they finally did it because immediately after Peyton Royce and Billy Kay got released, they were on social media posting stories and videos, reunited, and it feels so good. They're finally able to hang. Oh yeah, they're finally able to hang out again. They're bringing that charisma back. They're gonna spend the next 90 days, in a weird way, promoting who they are, how awesome they are. And whether they go to AEW, where Peyton's husband is working, and he's part of the Pinnacle, which is a great new stable, by the way, or whether they go to Impact, which I think is a better fit, and either way, you're not going to lose. They're working together anyway, so it's not like they wouldn't be separated from their family members. They're going to come back. They're going to be better than ever, and WWE's going to look at that and wish they never released him. They are the perfect female tag team in wrestling right now. And I look forward to them getting big on their own and making a name for themselves. And if WWE ever does want to re-sign him, they might be able to demand AJ Styles money. We'll see.
I hope they do.
Yeah. This is a good thing for them. They're going to make the most of this better than WWE ever did. And I look forward to seeing what they do after July 14th. And I think Fire and Flavor should be very, very scared.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
If I can piggyback off that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they do exactly that because there are a whole lot of female wrestlers I think should be making AJ Styles money, like you said, because they just should. And the IIconics, whatever name they go by next, I'm not saying anything Mike said, are just they're great. And you're right, there's a positive way to look at it. You're right, you're absolutely right about that. And I hope that this works out. So because like Hurricane Helms put a very positive Twitter post out saying like, you guys, this isn't the end for you. This is the beginning of your next journey, and you'll all be fine. Which coming from a guy who's probably been fired from more companies than anyone else, and has always landed on his feet no matter where he went.
Right.
That's saying something. So, and that's not a slight on Hurricane. I don't know why people can't make him work. He's hilarious. So it could work for them. It's just disappointment with the WWE more than anything. I'm not really, like you said, we're not worried about them. IIconics, Samoa Joe, please, he'll be fine. It's just, it's disappointment with the booking and the company itself.
Yeah, Chelsea Green is another one that's going to benefit from this as well, I think. Obviously.
Chelsea Green will be,
Also, on a side note,
about her, she can write her own check where she wants to go.
Go ahead, Mike.
Also, on a side note to what, God, I just lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
What were you just saying, Tommy? You were saying about...
I was saying like the IIconic...
Hurricane Helms saying they're going to be fine. And
Oh, that's what it was. Follow Hurricane Helms on Twitter if you don't. His Twitter is amazing.
His Twitter is amazing. You're right.
It's shutting down dumb people or just making the best dad jokes all the time.
Sounds like my kind of guy. All right.
Yeah.
We talked about at the beginning of the show, Impact Rebellion is this Sunday, April 25th at 6 p.m. Central Time. I'm sorry. Well, it's at 7 p.m. Central Time, but they are going to have like a countdown to Rebellion at 6. It's going to be from the Skyway Studios in Nashville, Tennessee, and will be on the Fight TV network at the price tag of $40. It may also be on traditional pay-per-views, so check your pay-per-view provider, but Fight TV is great. You got a Roku, a streaming device, or even on your phone. You can watch it anywhere you go, so definitely check that out. Again, the final Impact Wrestling before Rebellion is this Thursday on Access TV. You can also watch it on their Twitch, where you're guaranteed to see a Steiner Math promo because they always show the old promos on there. Their Twitch channel is basically a 24-hour stream showing classic pay-per-views, classic TV shows, classic matches, and classic promos. But they always do their live show there. I think that's a great thing that they've done. So,
real quick, I shared it with you guys. I got to tell everyone else on the IGN Resident Evil Village trailer. Someone actually switched that around to make it a Scott Steiner version of that promo, the Resident version of that Scott Steiner promo. And I don't know how this person came up with it, but I could not like that comment enough. I really could not. And I just want to tell everybody that was the best comment. So,
I think Mike sent me a TikTok once that was like wrestling promos as inspirational message.
The math checks out. I mean, it's one of those things where like he used the wrong formula and he just made stuff up, but the actual math that he adds and stuff works out.
Yeah. The numbers don't lie, and that spells disaster or sacrifice.
The scariest part is that it actually does make sense.
It really does.
It's like you're just making up stuff off the top of your head, but you're doing the math right. Like you're just making it up. But
all right. As for us, Twitter at the bottom of the screen, just below Tommy at ccg_WrestleCast. If you're watching this here, whether you watch this live or on demand later, let us know your thoughts, what your match predictions are. You can put the comments here or tweet them at us and let us know your thoughts are on Impact Rebellion if you watch this weekend and on the releases and what you think the future holds for the 10 roster names that we mentioned that have been let go. Next week, we'll be back probably live. I think this is going pretty well live. It's a lot of fun. We thank everybody here for interacting with us. We're going to recap Impact Rebellion and talk any sort of wrestling news that comes out as well. Again, on Tuesday, Bernsey says, Tommy and I have met Scott Steiner before.
Yeah. He was pretty nice.
Yeah. I know, Mike, if you ever meet Cesaro again, you can just talk about your favorite Scott Steiner promos, because I know he loves to talk about it. That was always like a big thing with him. So.
Also, next week, we should talk about the very controversial Charlotte suspension.
Oh, God. If it even lasts that long. You're putting Tommy in a bad mood again.
I'm sorry, New Japan.
There we go.
Stardom.
There we go. Yeah, there you go. Nailed it. Thank you, everybody, for watching, for joining along with us. We'll see y'all next week live. Down at the bottom of the screen, we got Tommy.
Thanks, guys.
Over on the left side of the screen, we got Mike.
Thanks, guys. Be good to each other.
And I'm JC, and as always, heels and baby faces, remember, pro wrestling is real. People are fake.
Boo.
We'll see y'all next time.
Where'd that go?